Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Residents in recovery hosted their naloxone training yesterday to teach people how to administer a life-saving drug to someone suffering an overdose. Our Lane Hoffert has more.
Residents in recovery started their recovery week by teaching locals and businesses how to use overdose reversing naloxone kits. The goal of Recovery Week is to educate people about the struggles that those who suffer from addiction deal with every day.
Recovery Week is a full week of activities to really support and show that recovery is possible, and bring the community together to really show that those that are in recovery right now, that the community's behind them.
Although some areas of Lloydminster would be seen as having more people prone to overdose, businesses in all parts of the community are encouraged to carry naloxone kits in case of an emergency.
Addiction doesn't discriminate. Overdoses can happen anywhere in the community, so it is imperative that we all learn on how to administer naloxone effectively and to save lives.
With the rise of opioids like fentanyl, naloxone kits are becoming more and more commonly used in saving lives and reversing overdoses. Businesses and people are now carrying naloxone the same way they do with first aid kits.
Yeah, I mean, just like you would carry a first aid kit in every business, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a naloxone kit as part of your first aid kit.
Residents in recovery will continue to have more events to educate people about addiction throughout Recovery Week. Lane Hoffert, Primetime Local News.
Lloydminster's biannual Heavy Oil Show is taking place next week. I had the chance to sit down with the team behind the scenes to see what's new this year. Today I'm joined by Gerald Albers, Director of Protocol for the Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show Committee. Thank you so much for taking the time to come down here.
It's a real pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
And we were just talking about it, but I am unaware of what the Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show is all about. So can you talk to me a little bit about what this event is all about?
So the Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show is a show that happens every 2 years, a biannual show that had been organized about 40 years ago, is where the roots come from, plus by local individuals that wanted to showcase or show off their wares of the equipment and technology. And that show led into what we know today as the Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show. And there's the changes of technology are continuous in the industry, and this is the opportunity for the industry to showcase those technologies and equipment and services to their customer base, to the community, and demonstrate what they do each and every day.
And then I wanted to ask you how this event has changed over the years, because it has been going on for so long now, so I'm sure it has changed a lot.
It has. We've seen some of the multinationals that if you've been in the industry or been in this community a long time, there's names that you'll say, oh yeah, they were here and they were here, and they've left the community, certainly after the last downturn in 2015. But we've also seen an upsurge of small companies started because some of that surplus equipment was sold off and people said, I think we can make a go of it. So we've seen that evolution of companies. The technology is absolutely incredible. You'll see at the show and how it continues to evolve from safety to the environment to basic production. And as they like to say, there's continuously improvements to the original mousetrap, and the same thing happens with what work is done with pump jacks, PC pumps, all sorts of things, even valving and all sorts of items that affect everyday efforts in the oil patch to improve production, to be safer, and again to address the environmental concerns that are raised.
And then why do you feel like it's so important that Lloydminster is the host of this biannual event?
Well, we really carry the title of Canada's heavy oil capital of Canada. We've got the asphalt refinery, the Cenovus asphalt refinery that's been here that dates back I believe to the 40s, the original refinery. Prior to that, there was another refinery. We actually made shingles in this city, if people didn't realize that, asphalt shingles. Then the upgrader came in the early 80s. And that really put Lloydminster on the map for this heavy, gooey oil that people talk about. Heavy oil, and it is truly heavy oil in comparison to a lot of places around Saskatchewan and Alberta. You don't see the pump jacks that often are associated with oil production. We have these beautiful progressive cavity pumps that help improve production based on the type of material being produced, the bitumen, that heavy oil. It's a very gooey substance, and the technology continues to get it out of the ground each and every day.
And then I wanted to talk about if people are interested in participating, if booths are still available for people. I don't know if it's too late, but
we're down to the final countdown for booths. But if we can accommodate, I would ask them to reach out to lhos.ca, the website, and they can put in their application form, and it'll be dealt with as soon as possible. The show itself is free. People can come down on Wednesday and Thursday to Lloyd Exhibition Grounds, and the show is free. There's no admission charge. We just ask you to register. You'll get a name tag so people know who you are, and you'll know who they are when you're talking to them. There are some events that are ticketed. And tickets are going to be limited now because we've got to cut it off sooner or later. But the Tuesday night opening ceremonies and banquet, which is a great meal put on by the Lloyd Exhibition, there'll be some greetings brought, and then there's a fireside chat featuring two individuals from the industry. Jeff Lawson is the Vice President of Synovus Energy, coming out from Calgary, and Kendall Dilling is the CEO of Pathways Alliance, a group of 6 oil companies that are working on carbon capture to address the environmental challenges that exist in the world from the oil and gas production. So those will be the fireside chat individuals that we'll hear from them on various items. And then on Wednesday, the two premiers, Premier Moe and Premier Smith, will be here together at the noon luncheon to discuss the energy industry from their respective provinces, as well as their view of the country and the global markets from their perspective. Thursday is another luncheon, which will feature 3 industry representatives representing different associations attached to the service side of the oil and gas industry, talking about their views, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, and sharing with the individuals. So those will be soup and sandwich luncheons. That tickets are available, again, lhos.ca to get those tickets ordered. There will be a few extra tickets ordered, but once those tickets are gone, as you can appreciate, when you give the caterer a number, they have to be able to provide the food. So don't hesitate. We ask you to get on it as soon as you can.
Well, perfect. That really summarized all of the last questions that I was going to ask you there. So that really covers everything. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this. Should be a great event for Lloydminster. Absolutely. You're going to see a lot of people coming into the city, starting some actually the display folks that set up transform the exhibition into a trade show will be here arriving Friday. Some of the equipment will be arriving over the weekend, and the last of it basically arriving Monday and Tuesday by hopefully 4 p.m. We'll have all the booths set up, and then, like I say, we start with the the banquet and opening ceremonies, which will be a great evening at the WLS Convention Center, followed by the show. The doors opening at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning for people to come down and take a look at that industry that it affects so many people, directly and indirectly in our city, and has helped make our city what it is today. Perfect. Thanks again for taking the time. My pleasure. Here's hoping we have some good weather for that event next week, but compared to how the weather is today.
Yeah, definitely a bit chillier out today. Like, not chilly, I guess, but, you know, a little cooler than...
Cooler than the temperatures that we've been used to, at least.
Definitely, yeah. We're getting into instead of it being in the 20s, it's getting down to the teens. I guess that's what happens when fall's coming, you know. Yeah. That rain last night probably made it a bit cooler as well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Right now in Lloydminster here, 16 degrees outside, 19-kilometer-an-hour winds, so, you know, a little bit windier. Humidity 51%. It's a little more humid out there than usual, but overall still some nice weather, even though we got a bit more clouds. Maybe you want to wear a bunny hug out there. It might not be that extreme, but if you do get chillier, you can see around the region similar temperatures. Bonnyville, Marwayne, Vermilion, 17 degrees there. Lac La Biche, St. Paul, Vegreville, Wainwright, and Provost, 18 degrees. And the warmest of the bunch there, Edmonton, is still 19 degrees. Cold Lake is 19 as well, we can see. Isle La Crosse, Pierceland, Green Lake, Meadow Lake, St. Walburg, all 17 degrees, along with Macklin down there. Maidstone is 19 degrees, and North Battleford is 18 degrees. Tonight in North Battleford, it's going to get down to a cool 5 degrees. Looks like it's going to be a clear night, a little bit of clouds there, 11-kilometer-an-hour winds, but mainly clear and a bit cooler. Tomorrow in North Battleford, it's going to get warmer than it was today. 22 degrees, pleasant with plenty of sun, 13-kilometer-an-hour winds, so just a nice day outside overall. You're not going to be blown away. You're going to get a good, nice amount of sunshine there. And tonight in Cold Lake, it is going to be a bit cold there. 4 degrees, clear and chilly, 11-kilometer-an-hour winds. No clouds, maybe a good night to watch the stars. This time you maybe want to bring out your blanket, bring your bunny hug, and just relax there. And it's going to get up to 21 degrees tomorrow in Cold Lake. You got a little bit of them clouds you can see there. Mostly sunny and pleasant out, 11-kilometer-an-hour winds, so maybe it'll just blow around a few leaves, nothing too crazy. And tonight in Lloyd, it's going to be mainly clear and 6 degrees. 13-kilometer-an-hour winds. Tomorrow's forecast at 6 in the morning, it'll be 7 degrees and mostly clear. You can see a few clouds. At noon, it's going to get up to 18 degrees and sunny. 6 p.m., it'll be mostly sunny and 21 degrees, so it's going to warm up there in the evening and then cool back down to 11 degrees at midnight, and it will be clear. There will be no clouds, and the wind will be blowing southeast 17 kilometers an hour. Now the 3-day forecast. Tomorrow will be pleasant with plenty of sun and a high of 23. Friday will be breezy and warmer with a high of 29, and Saturday will be sunny and very warm with a high of 31. That's your first look at the weather. We'll have more news after the break.
The Lakeland Wrestlers women's soccer team is excited for the start of the ACAC season, with their first games coming up this weekend. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
The Rustlers have been hard at work this summer, practicing and playing preseason games in order to prepare for another exciting soccer season.
I think we're looking really good. We have a lot of returners coming back, so we had a base group and we had a couple more additions. So just feeling out the team throughout preseason went really well. We're looking pretty good. Our exhibition games went really well, so we are looking positive as we go into the season.
The team is much more experienced than last year's squad, with a majority of the players in their second or third season.
We only have 4 rookies this year, so it's looking like a team of vets, and I think it'll turn out pretty good.
The Rustlers will begin the season on the road, taking on Northwestern Polytechnic up in Grand Prairie.
We just have to stay solid defensively, make their play very predictable, make it so we can read what they're going to do, which for the most part we've got better at as preseason has progressed. And then offensively, we need to be unpredictable. We need to play with a lot of freedom and make space for our creative players who we can use our speed and we can use our technique and hopefully score lots of goals.
Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
The Lloydminster Rona store is part of a national fundraising campaign. Stacey Comer has more on Home Sweet Home and the local nonprofit that will be benefiting from it.
There is a special campaign that has been organized by the Rona Foundation, and it's called Home Sweet Home. And today we are going to talk a little bit about this campaign, how it works in Lloydminster and on a national level. I have 2 guests today. First of all, we have Mark Didick, who is the store manager for Rona Lloydminster, and José Lafitte, who's the director of the Rona Foundation. So I want to welcome you both to the interview.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Well, I'm going to start with you, José, and talk about the Home Sweet Home campaign. Can you tell me exactly what it is?
Yes, of course. So the Home Sweet Home campaign is the Rona Foundation's fall campaign. It started on September 1st in all the corporate stores across Canada, some affiliated dealers, and also distribution centers as well. And they're raising funds for local charities that they have chosen themselves. And it's very much aligned with the foundation's mission I can tell you more about that if you'd like.
Yes, please.
It's so we want to revitalize living environments and make it easier to access housing. You know, given the situation with access to housing, we want to do our part. We want to help. So this is our way of doing it. Yeah.
Okay, and Mark, I'll go to you now. Just in regards to the local campaign, what is the charity that is going to be receiving the funds here, and how do people make donations locally?
So it's the Lloydminster Integral Home Society. It can be done in their store through the donations, like $2, $5, and $10 donations. Our associates also ask each customer that comes to our store, would you like to donate to the local Integral Home Society, either $2 or $5 or $10? And also we have get free popcorn and get a donation for $2. So that's kind of our campaign right now at the store.
Is it pretty well received locally as well, Mark, when people come in and they're very receptive to this idea of making donations for the interval home this way?
Oh yes, it was very successful last year for us, so that's why we continue that fundraising for the Integral Home here in Lloydminster.
And Jose, I'll go back to you just in regards to the campaign. This is something that is a national campaign, is that correct?
Yes. So we have more than over 200 stores participating. So a lot of people are mobilized in the company, and I love this campaign.
And it must take a lot of work also to get this organized, and obviously with the help of people like Mark and those running the Rona stores across Canada. So, how much coordination does a campaign like this take?
It takes a year, so every a couple of months. So we prepare in advance, and we're ready for September.
Now, Mark, I'll just go back
Yeah.
to you again and ask you in regards to the interval store. I know you said it was the charity last year, and same as this one as well. Is there a reason that you guys decided to go with the same charity again this year? Or is it just something your staff really likes to support?
It really lines up with the Grona's mission, supporting the ladies of domestic violence, and it provides them a home. And at the time, and I think that's really important for our community to support that.
All right, and Jose, just in regards to the national campaign, I know that we have quite a few Rona stores in the area. So if people are looking for information on this campaign and just history about it and where they can support, what is the best way to find all of that information in one place?
Oh, they can go on our website. It's ronainc.ca, I believe. If not in stores or maybe on our social media.
All right, and Mark, one last question for you in regards to people coming into the store and looking to make the donations. If they have any questions about the campaign or how they can go about doing this, or if they can do specific fundraisers to donate to this, how do they find out more information locally? Can they just come in and ask any associate in the store, or how does that work?
If they're wanting to make a donation, just go to our front end cashier and make a donation, or they can contact me at the store here also. So you can contact me at the store number at 780-875-0470, and I gladly work with them and see if we can raise some more funds.
All right, well, thank you so much both for joining me today, and I wish you luck with the campaign.
Thank you so much, Stacey.
Thank you.
It's time now to look at your adorable animals in our pet picks of the day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.
When you hear the term nesting, you might not associate it with divorce and separation. Stacey Comer has more on how it applies to the process and how some of the benefits and challenges.
Well, Well, it's that time of the week when Stephanie Dobson joins us. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hankin Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Edmonton and Lloydminster. Stephanie, we have an interesting topic we're going to speak of today. And first of all, thank you so much for joining me once again.
Thank you, Stacey.
Well, today we're talking about nesting in divorce. And when I saw this initially, I thought, isn't nesting what they say that pregnant women do when they're getting closer to have the baby? But you're saying that nesting is also an issue or a topic when it comes to divorce. So tell me about the nesting part as connected to divorce.
Yeah, and we call it nesting for short, but it's really called birds nesting. So nesting in the context of divorce refers to a co-parenting arrangement where the children remain in the family home while the parents take turns living there. So instead of the children moving between each two homes, mom's house and dad's house, the parents actually alternate their time in the home. And then when they're off duty parenting, then the parents will go and stay somewhere else.
Okay, so what would the benefits be to having a nesting arrangement like that, Stephanie?
Well, I would have to say there's lots of benefits for children, especially. So when we look at the cons or the challenges with respect to nesting, we're going to be talking more about the parents. But as far as the benefits of nesting, for sure, when we're looking at separating parents, the stability, routine, and consistency for children is really key. And so certainly nesting can really help with that. So with the respect to the stability, children, of course, get to stay in their home environment and they can have a lot more continuity. They don't have to be going in between mom's house and dad's house. There's less disruption for them moving back and forth between two households. And of course, they can maintain their routines a lot better. And of course, it's familiar surroundings I suppose for both parents and children, but especially for children. If parents are going to move far away from one another, even within the same city, but far enough away, then it can have a lot more time to get into extracurricular activities or hanging out with friends or even some school challenges. It can be really good for co-parent cooperation. It really encourages parents to work together and they can even maintain some shared expenses. It's really can get really expensive moving into two different homes from mom's house and dad's house. So if you can keep one family home and be on the couch at someone else's home or move to your native family's home, it can be really helpful to keep the expenses low, especially when you're first separating.
And of course, with benefits, Stephanie, there's also challenges, as you had mentioned. So what are some of the challenges that are associated with nesting?
Yeah, so it's more on the parent side as far as the challenges. Of course, it's kind of inconvenient, I would say, for parents, needing to move out of the home it's more of a short-term solution, I would say, because of that. Most parents are wanting to set up their own home eventually after they've separated for a little while. So birds nesting is usually a really short-term solution. It can be emotionally difficult to continue with a shared space. So even though you're not technically there, mom's not there when dad's there and dad's not there when mom's there, you're still, technically sharing a space. And so it can be emotionally difficult. It can feel like a lack of personal space and have some unclear boundaries between parents.
So, Stephanie, can you give me some tips to make the nesting process a little more effective for the people involved?
Yeah, so it can be really helpful to establish some really good communication. Communication is everything, whether you're nesting or whether you're not nesting and living in two separate homes, but certainly using that open, honest, and respectful communication. Talking between the parents about creating a defined schedule can be really helpful. I talked about the challenges having those lack of defined boundaries. And so by creating a schedule, you can really make sure that you know exactly when mom is coming and when dad is coming. So then the other parent can try to be out of the way and really make sure that the home is one where we try to keep the conflict as low as possible. And of course, to do that, we can do that by staying focused on the kids, prioritizing the kids' needs and creating a supportive environment for them. Working as a team between the co-parents is always a good idea, whether you're nesting or otherwise, but really trying to approach that parenting as a partnership and making decisions together, celebrating one's successes and, in parenting will reinforce that positive atmosphere.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you so much for joining me once again, and we'll be back to chat with you next week.
Thanks, Stacey.
Coming up after the break, our Lane Hoffert will have another look at our evening weather forecast.
Welcome back. Let's take another look at your weather. Right now in Lloydminster here, it is 17 degrees and also 17 km/h winds. So a little bit windy. You can see there's a little bit of clouds, but overall still a nice day out. Definitely a bit cooler than what we've had previously. In Alberta here, all the temperatures are kind of around the same there. Red Deer, Rocky Mountain House, and Whitecourt there, 18 degrees. Cold Lake, Athabasca, and Edmonton and Edson there are 19 degrees, and Jasper is 22 degrees. Over in Saskatchewan, you can see similar temperatures. Lloyd and Saskatoon both 17 degrees. North Battleford and Meadow Lake 18 degrees. Prince Albert 16, and Melfort there 12 degrees. Cold day out there. Now up north, it's Uranium City and Stony Rapids are 14 degrees, along with Flin Flon down there. La Loche and Buffalo Narrows are the warmest there at 15 degrees. South End Reindeer, it's 13 degrees, and Wollaston Lake 12 degrees. So cooling off all over the province. And here in Alberta, 18 degrees at Fort Chipewyan, Fort McMurray 17 degrees, Peace River and Slave Lake 19 degrees. High Level 20 degrees, and Grand Prairie 21 degrees. Down in southern Alberta, it's about the same again. Coronation 18 degrees, Calgary also 18, Banff 19 degrees, Lethbridge 21, and Medicine Hat is 22 degrees. Over in Saskatchewan there, Swift Current, Moose Jaw, and Regina are all 15 degrees, Yorkton and Kindersley 17 degrees, and Estevan 18 degrees. Now tonight in North Battleford, it is going to get down to 5 degrees, mainly clear and cooler, 11 km/h winds. So you can see there's a little bit of clouds, but overall going to be a nice clear night in North Battleford. Now tonight in Cold Lake, 4 degrees, clear and chilly with 11 km/h winds. And that's going to carry over, and Lloyd will be about the same there, mainly clear, 13 km/h winds and 6 degrees. Now let's look at the travel forecast. Meadow Lake and Provost will be 6 degrees tonight. Bonnyville and Paradise Hill will be 5 degrees, and Isle La Crosse 8 degrees. Now throughout the region here, Mirnam and Pierceland will be 5 degrees. Unity and Wainwright will be 6, and Calgary will be 9 degrees. All clear nights out. You can see the stars. Now let's look at your 7-day forecast here in Lloydminster. Tomorrow will be 23, and it should stay warm throughout the week.
Yeah, very, very warm temperatures, as we can see there. For the rest of the week, it'll be quite nice to experience that weather.
Definitely.
And that is all the time that we have today for Primetime Local News. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.